Hey everyone, Socom from Roblox here. Given the date that this video is going out, it feels pretty fitting to talk about one of the major, and in my opinion, the greatest yearly event Roblox would do, the egg hunts. Before we start this video though, make sure to check out the Easter event going on right now in the Rolling Mons Discord server. A link to the server will be in the description below. So let's start at the beginning. The 2008 egg hunt, or egg drop, which it used to be known as, was the first ever egg hunt on Roblox. As you'd imagine, for a first run, the event wasn't very optimized, and there weren't as many eggs compared to recent years. Although, for how new Roblox was at the time, the developers cooked up really creative tasks to get these eggs. Like one of the eggs, called the Puzzling Enigma egg, was obtained by beating the egg at chess. There were also some rare eggs in this event, like the cracked egg of pawnage. This egg was only obtainable by killing a person who was wearing the bunny ears of Caprice. In essence, this means you could only get it by killing an admin, because if any non-admin tried to wear it, they'd just explode. And at the time, only 27 people had owned the bunny ears of Caprice, which should tell you how rare it was to get. Something I found too funny not to mention about the 2008 egg hunt was that players found this way to cheese the entire thing by making these things called egg funnels, which you'll see right now on the screen. And they were basically just like an easy way to get the eggs. All in all, it was a fairly simple event, but a good start for the first ever egg hunt on Roblox. Now let's kick stuff up a notch. The 2010 egg hunt followed the same surname of the original egg drop, and the second extravaganza of Roblox. This time, instead of 13 eggs, the 2010 egg hunt consisted of 23 eggs. This time with many more possibilities of tasks, and even more unique eggs for what the year was. Although this egg hunt seemed to have a good plan going for them, this was actually the shortest time an egg hunt had ever lasted temporarily, as it originally went up from April 2nd to April 4th. To make up for this sudden delay, Roblox gave away the Golden Egg Beaters, which was on sale for several days, being a free item for anyone to take. And on the 21st of July, the egg hunt was reinstated, with 7 different new eggs. This time to collect with only a 5-day deadline before it closed. This event followed the same concept from the 2008 egg hunt, by where eggs would rain down in any servers on a selected time, being able to be collected by other players. And you know people were going to use their funnel cheat code again. A fun fact about this event, did you know you could have only picked up 3 eggs, which was increased to 6 later if you were a normal user during this event? Originally, Roblox made it so if you bought BC, you'd be able to get an egg basket, which allowed you to collect as many eggs as you want, while normal players never got anything of that kind of benefit. This is why most people used alts to collect all the eggs during this hunt. A lot of these eggs had interesting concepts, just like the 2008 egg hunt too, such as taking the Crimson Egg of Nemesis, for example, where you had to avoid all the rockets that were being shot at you, and needed to catch this egg while it was airborne to be able to collect it. You can also take the Xenos Egg of Paradox, which you had to wait for it to shrink down to collect it. Now if you touch this egg, your walk speed would decrease, and you would keep lowering until you couldn't move anymore. Most of the time, people touched it when it was at its first stage, which caused a lot of people to riot because they thought the egg was broken. And although there were some genuine hard eggs to get with tasks that seemed impossible, there were always eggs just like the Rusty Egg of Magnetism, Chrome Egg of the Speeding Bolt, and the Shiny Egg of Switcheroo, which all you had to do was either touch it, chase after it, or make contact with it before it switched its location. Now, although this wasn't an egg hunt in itself, it's still very closely related to it and why I want to mention it. And what I'm referring to is a building contest that followed the egg hunt called the Crossroads Improvement Project. This basically consisted of 3 eggs that you could win for specific ratings, and 1 for just participating in the event. The following eggs were the Dusk Eye Egg of the Crossroads, which was given to those that scored 1,450 points or higher, which followed with the Arboist's Verdant Egg of Leafiness. Sorry if I butchered that. And you could get this by having a rating of 1,650 points to your build. And then there was the Royal Agate Egg of Beautiful Dreams, given to those who had their building rating at least above 1,900 points. And this was the highest egg that you could get in the entire event. And as a participation award, players got the Violently Pink Egg of Violent Opinions, which you could get by your votes being at least 80% accurate to those who won this build contest. The 2012 Egg Hunt is the third installment in the Egg Hunt series. However, considering that they graduated from egg drops that randomly dropped in every game to a specific place that housed the event, it was finally more of an actual egg hunt. There were also quite a few new eggs this year, along with a new egg series called the Sugar Eggs, the notable ones being the Crossroads and Chaos Canyon Sugar Eggs. This series would later make appearances in future egg hunts. It's safe to say that this new model for the egg hunts ended up being a success, as it broke the concurrent player count at the time with almost 10,000 players. Although it wasn't without its flaws. Even though it was a step in the right direction, it still was lacking in some departments, one of the most noticeable being anti-cheating or exploiting, as there was an exploit at the time which allowed everyone who joined specific servers to get all the eggs. But objectively, in the long run, it was still known as a fairly successful and iconic egg hunt. The 2013 Egg Hunt built off where the 2012 Egg Hunt had stopped. It was much more experimental than its counterpart, with eggs not just in a Egg Hunt game, but on Roblox Studio, and even the actual Roblox website itself had eggs hidden inside of it. And for the most part, these experimental features worked out well, other than the hatch feature they had for certain eggs, where the egg would turn into a hat or gear that went into your inventory. But for the most part, the good far outweighed the bad in this egg hunt, especially the map itself. The map was a lot bigger than the previous 2012 map, but they added things like teleporters to make it easier to teleport to certain regions of the map after you had discovered them. So the map was spacious and big, but not painfully slow and boring to traverse. All in all, it was probably one of the best egg hunts to come out, and dare I say, probably more iconic than the 2012 egg hunt. Now we're going to head into the technically third ever egg hunt, counting 2012 as the first initial one, the 2014 Save the Eggverse event. This was the first ever map that somewhat involved terrain after the update of normal base plates. This egg hunt revolved around a good versus evil concept. It had multiple bad eggs and good-sided eggs which you could collect via different tasks. It followed by a person named Lucky Lapin, or Lapin, however you want to say it, who was kidnapped with all the flashy and special eggs who needed your help to save them. The kidnapper Rabid Rabbit wore the Rabbit Egg as his primary item. This boss battle was one of the first aspects introduced into an egg hunt and was actually somewhat of a challenge for the first time. Rabid Rabbit came from an alternative universe to Lucky Lapin, in which he wanted to steal all the eggs from this time verse. If you defeated Rabid Rabbit, you would actually get his egg, which was seen as one of the first introductions of not only an entire story to an egg hunt, but also a boss fight that gives you eggs that later egg hunts would use. This egg hunt originally lasted from around April 11th to April 24th, and there were 34 eggs at the time, which was genuinely a handful for most Robloxians. This event also followed by the 2014 April Fool's Egg Hunt, which you could obtain the Egg of Destiny by claiming it in the middle of the map. This egg also has cool particle effects, unlike most of them, which gave it a special occurrence. This egg hunt also consisted of somewhat interesting maps, as the previous egg hunts only had 1 to 2 maps that you'd be able to collect eggs, whereas this egg hunt had about 5 maps. Now let's move into 2015. This was mainly around the year of where everyone considered the egg hunts to be the best of the best. Unfortunately, the 2015 egg hunt wouldn't live up as one of the better egg hunts during this time. This egg hunt consisted of 22 total eggs, and it started on March 23rd and ended on April 5th. This was actually the first egg hunt to where they experimented ways to obtain eggs in front page games. The following games were Twisted Murderer, which had 10 eggs, Purple Minigames, which had 12 eggs, and Super Bomb Survival, which also had 12 eggs. Though not many people were fond of them, as a lot of the eggs were very tedious, or for the first couple days completely unobtainable. And it left some distaste in the mouth of players. Some notable eggs causing this are the Phantom Egg, which only could be obtained on the map in Twisted Murderer, this map being Movie Theater Map, and only dropped if the murderer got killed. And on top of all of this, the chance of getting it was 4%, or 1 in 25, and only one player could get it in a round. There was also the Bird Egg, which was not able to be grabbed after it floated down for about a day or two after the game's release. This caused many players to nickname this egg hunt the Roblox Dev Hunt 2015, because the egg hunt was only held in games that Roblox developers made and not Roblox themselves. Other than that, the 2015 egg hunt was odd, and most players weren't really a fan of it. Unlike in previous and later years, there were also no Fabergé eggs, no eggs hatched, or no related eggs went on sale after the hunt was over. With all these factors mixed in with how experimental this egg hunt was, it left a lot of the player base unsatisfied with the results of the 2015 egg hunt. The 2016 egg hunt went back to the traditional map of one game after the failure of the 2015 egg hunt. It was a fairly good egg hunt, although on release it was pretty buggy and some eggs and quest items were more or less unobtainable. Thankfully they ended up fixing it quickly, but it still shows there were quite some hiccups in the game that needed to be smoothened. But it did give me Egg Hunt 2013 vibes, where there's this big map to explore. I mean, they even have the portals like the 2013 Egg Hunt did, although some of the eggs, to say loosely, were grindy and time-consuming. Like the Wizard Egg, where you had to look for multiple small little mission items, to the Fabergé Zombie Egg, where you needed to get 100 shards of it and pray you could get back to the cemetery before someone took it. It was still a very simple, and after a nice post-release patch, well-made egg hunt. The 2017 egg hunt was much more refined than 2016. Instead of a buggy and rough initial release that 2016 had, 2017 had pretty much no hiccups. And thankfully, the maps and the eggs also hit the nail on the head. Though being a big undertaking, the maps turned out great. You see, it wasn't just one map like most egg hunts were like previously. It was multiple different worlds, with a hub that had, of course, many different eggs. But they all worked really well. Not just the maps with each other, but the eggs were great too. They all seemed unique and different compared to 2016. Some of my personal favorite eggs from this event were the Amber Egg and the Pompeian Egg. I feel like the entire game matched Roblox's new sleek corporate look at the time, and was definitely one of the better egg hunts Roblox gave us in later years. Now for the 9th annual egg hunt. These eggs were found in games that were linked to the main lobby of the egg hunt itself. This egg hunt was created by the 5th team, this time instead of Roblox. This was actually one of the first egg hunts to be supported on Xbox and console, and had the most eggs out of basically the other egg hunts. This had a ton of detail put into the map and had songs that were enchanted. This egg hunt went by the name Yolktails, and had about 45 brand new eggs and over 50 obtainable badges at the time. This was definitely one of the biggest hunts put into play by the dev team. You could also get some special items during this event, such as the 5th team egg and the DIY egg, which both were obtainable with creative tasks from the developers. This was Tabs, the editor of this video's favorite hunt, and we both agree it was probably the most peaked of the series. This egg hunt lasted from March 28th to April 20th, probably being one of the longer lasting egg hunts compared to the previous hunts. 2019 Egg Hunt was the debut to a decade-old series. This was also a very well-written and made egg hunt. This hunt provided about 58 new eggs. Now that's a lot of yolks. This game genuinely provided some classics, and even brought back boss fights from 2014. People could obtain these eggs during April 18th to May 13th. It It was a bit longer than most hunts, but it must have been expected because the preparation they had to do for how big this event was, just like the 2018 Yolktails Egg Hunt, eggs were obtained by being passed down in maps made by developers. Although most of the community actually hated this hunt, it was generally well put together. I've seen people hate on this event for a while, but then got told for being one of the best. It was generally tongue-twisting, and this event was also followed by the Endgame event, which had 6 other items being sponsored, and also having specific eggs for the event created on top of that. This was one of the first egg hunts to be collabed with a major event, and people dig that a ton. Tab dig too. But throughout this, it was easy to navigate through most of the eggs. They were very easy to accomplish, unlike previous egg hunts, which were either too laggy or just glitchy in general. But another downside to this event was people compared the Scrabble in time being related to the Egg Hunt 2015, due to the Egg Hunt being hosted in only developer-made games, which made a lot of people not too happy with what was decided. Although this event had nothing really similar to an egg hunt, this was one event that held the tiny egg of non-existence. You could get this egg by doing a secret task in the metaverse lobby. You needed to collect at least 40 chests, which then you could also need at least 11 other companions to collect 40 badges as well. In the game at the time, there were 11 pads which you could only activate by having this amount of chests, and everyone would need to stand on a pad themselves to open up a secret entrance in the floor which everyone in the server could get this egg. Although it wasn't particularly easy, it was definitely worth the fun for one of the last events to involve an egg. Now you may say this egg was a very recent addition to the series, but this egg was actually created back in 2008, which was supposed to be a troll item in the 2008 extravaganza. It's also a retexture of the Blue Steel Egg of Genius, which was also followed in the 2008 Egg Hunt, and was also supposed to be a troll egg. This item is literally invisible to the naked eye unless you are wearing something such as headless or a arthro head that doesn't cover up the middle part of your head. Well, that seems to be all this time around. I'm your host, Socom, heading out.